Hello and welcome in Le Cadap de Bee. On my last trip to the United States, I read a book entitled Chez Soi by the author Mona Chollet. Thanks to this book, I discovered that there are so many ways to feel at home. This book reminds me exactly my conversation with Basim and the movie Shoes. I hope this episode resonates with you, so don't hesitate to leave me 5 stars on your favorite listening platform. Make yourself at home, make yourself comfortable, and have a good listening. Hello, Basim. How are you doing? And can you introduce yourself?
Howdy, my name is Basim. I'm from Texas, originally from Syria. To introduce myself, I guess I can tell you a few things I'm passionate about: marketing, technology, being your best self, and just releasing your inner beast. I teach a few storytelling classes on Instagram. You can follow me at Basmo. And I'm just really happy to be here with you today.
Yeah, me too. Good. And what was the movie or the series that had an impact in your life?
All right, this is going to sound really weird and cheesy, but it's Avatar 2.
No, it's not weird. Okay, and did you remember when you saw the movie or you were alone or not?
No, I was with family. I was with my brother and my daughter. And I guess that really impacted my perception of the movie.
Okay, and can you tell us more about the movie or the emotion that generated in you?
Sure, yeah. So Avatar 2, the way I understood it very differently, and what it meant to me was a journey of a family that's moving to a new location, a new environment, and integrating into that society and just struggling to be accepted. And at the same time, when you move to a new country or a new school, new job, or new friends group, you feel like you want to be your authentic self, but at the same time, there's certain things that
Yes.
you should do to show who you are and what your values are. And sometimes you're not accepted in new places, and you want to be unapologetic about that, but at the same time, just find your groove in this new place. So it's a bit difficult. For me, the journey that I'm going through is, in going to Colombia and creating,
Mm-hmm.
um, going to Colombia and immersing myself in a new environment, which I love, which is like a fantasy, like Avatar 2 as well. It's
Yeah.
just, finding your groove, being accepted. I guess I'm focusing too much on the word acceptance. It's moreover finding your passion or your home in a foreign land.
Yeah, because when the first time I saw the movie The Avatars the second, I s- I had the impression you were with me because
Wow.
I didn't know your story, but yeah, I noticed directly the main topic like the migration and how we can adapt ourselves in a new environment. It's like about the languages, the new landscape, a new territory, or new people, and how we could be accepted with the
Absolutely.
local people.
Yeah. I mean, my story has been, well, I'll tell you, I'm a Syrian American. So I was born in Houston, Texas. And at a certain point when I was in the fourth
Yeah.
grade, I'll tell you a funny story. My dad decided to move to Saudi Arabia from the United States. And so I
Okay.
remember sitting in
Okay.
gym class in physical education, and we're all sitting on the basketball court as kids, like waiting for the activity. And I remember this person said, "Hey, you're moving to a place with all camels and whatnot. Are you going to be just like in the desert?" And I didn't know what to say because I was moving to Saudi Arabia, and I thought, we'd start using camels instead of cars, and I'd be in a tent living. As an American Arab, I didn't even know what to expect. So I've had a big shift in my life it was kind of a return to the womb situation where my dad and mom decided to move back to the Middle East so that we can better embrace our language, our religion, being proud as Arabs. And eventually the vision is, and this is what is big for me, is improving and helping other people. The idea was to move back to our countries, make money in our own country in Syria, right? Help the people, create a
Mhm.
business, flourish off of that business, but really help our people rise together. We have a big sense of community that's been woven into my psychology, as an Arab American. You come here, you have a bunch of family back home, quote unquote, and we're going to talk about what home means. Let's lift your cousins and your family, give them jobs, help them, and, be proud of where you're from. So the whole story of being in the United States.
This way. Good, let's go. Just up here. No, no. This is for you. Your new home.
Yeah, this will work. This is great. It's nice, right? Okay, Sully's falling.
Remember? Family meeting?
Come on, take a knee. Let's go.
Kitty. What?
Okay. I need you kids on your best behavior. I mean it. Learn fast. Pull your weight. Don't cause trouble. Got it?
Yes, sir.
I want to go home.
Oh, Duke.
Took. This is our home now. No. No, we're gonna get through this. We're gonna get through this if we have each other's backs. All right?
What does your father always say?
So they stick together.
Yeah, that's right. So we stick together. Now, this time with some feeling.
So they stick together.
Sully stick together.
We spent a year, about 6 to 8 months in Saudi Arabia, then a year in Syria, and I completely changed. I skipped a grade in a foreign language. I went to a military school. I learned how to joke and talk and make friends
Wow.
and Arabic. And I was, dressed in a military uniform. We had to, it was completely different. Like they'd hit you on your
Yeah.
hand or your feet if you have discipline issues. They're still using the paddle board. It's like old school education. It's kind of like French education, actually. We had to perfect our writing. First time you write with your black notebook and then your white notebook, you perfect it, and you have. So I had a very different way of thinking for those years. So anyways, for me at this point in my life, I don't want to say moving to Colombia. At this point in my life, coming to Colombia and seeing a foreign culture and seeing how Avatar explained that experience was just, it opened up so many pores of understanding for me.
Wow. And you spoke about home. So what is a home for you? Like the movie?
I have, in my journey of life, post-divorce, I've been married for 12 years in the past, and I divorced, and it was a big falling out of, relationships. And at the same time, I was also exiting corporate and taking a break for myself. And I remember booking a one-way ticket to Seattle, and I was bike packing. So when you ask me about home, for those 2-3 weeks, I biked from Seattle to Portland with just a pair of Lululemon pants, some protein shakes, my Bose speaker, and just a tent and cookware and whatnot. I was just living off of the elements because I was in exploration and search for my home. A home, what I've found is where, let's go to the philosophical, Abraham Maslow has a philosophy of the hierarchy of human needs. And at the base of that pyramid, what you need first is home and shelter. Shelter, right? So imagine canceling everything in your life. What is home? Home is first Your first basic human need is a place to protect you from the elements and shelter, from a lot of wind, a lot of rain, a lot of cold, etc. So the basal human need of home first is not being cold and miserable and you can't sleep at night. I remember, I'm answering your question slowly. I love telling stories. I remember sleeping in a place. I'd sleep in a random place. I'd bike for 80 miles and then rest and bike more and rest. And I was just completely connected with nature. I remember at one point finding a place that looked like it was an island. There was land and water all around. It was about midnight and I set up tent there. After a while, I woke up in a few hours floating and I realized it was low tide and I was sleeping under a bridge. So I had to check into a hotel and
Wow.
it was just crazy. There was just syringes all over. There were homeless people sleeping there. I really challenged the idea of what is home. And mind you, I have 1 million Starwood points from Marriott hotels, so I could have checked in anywhere. But at this time, I was exploring what is home. So my point is, I thought I was a badass at this point, that you could sleep anywhere and make home anywhere. You can't, right? I was cold. I was wet. I had to check into a hotel. I used a blow dryer to dry my camping equipment, etc. But I realized first, don't be dumb. Home is where you need to be comfortable and get a good night's sleep, right? You need your restoration of energy,
Yeah.
right? So first, home is a place where you can sleep without feeling threatened by the elements of nature. But I'm going to slowly add on to this understanding of home is also by, if you're in a situation with a partner or kids, or you're living with your parents or whoever you're living with, that you not can feel threatened by the elements of humanity too, not just the elements of nature.
It's funny because your story reminds me two things. Like, first of all, like two movies. I don't know if you know them, but the first one is Into the Wild.
I love that movie.
Yeah, yeah, about the guy who traveled in Alaska, and another movie is with Reese Witherspoon, and the name of the movie is Wild. Is based on a true story. Do you know the movie or?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I've seen both. I remember Into the Wild a little bit more, but definitely.
I think it like the same. It's kind of the same story. It's like
Yeah.
travel to find yourself, like your
Yeah.
home. But it's really, really good. And few days ago, I read the book of Michelle Obama, like the second, I think, and she say something like attract me. That I notice is like, I can do anywhere, but Barack Obama is like my home. Is my home.
Oh, that is so beautiful. And that is true. Eat, Pray, Love is another one that's, I think, a little more cheesy, but everybody see that. But the idea is the same. Look, I understand and I love what she said there about, Barack Obama is my home, but I'm stripping it down to the very, very basics. Let's say without any other person, return to self and self-love. Home, first of all, is where you can get 7 or 8 hours of sleep. This is, as human beings, we can't survive without that restoration.
Yeah.
Beyond that is, having, if you have a person in your life, they make you feel at peace and secure. This is what I'm getting to. In certain relationships, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but sometimes you wake up and you may be waking up to a fight or yelling or screaming or sometimes it may be like it's always something. And you just wake up and your heart rate, all I look at now is my resting heart rate. I have this Fitbit, any other device I use as well. How do I wake up? Do I wake up in peace? So I think that's part of the definition of home. If somebody's putting your ability to rest and wake up and restore at risk, then that's a risk for your home. That person doesn't make you feel at home. So for me, home is where I have my peace and security.
Mm-hmm.
Environment wise, right?
Yeah.
I talk a lot about, being in the right environment. that you love and reinforces your energy and who you want to be, but also a person that helps reinforce that, whether it's through their words of affirmation or their touch or their time. So I think home is a combination of those, what makes you feel secure and whole so that you can build on that.
Yeah, wow. And you spoke about the environment, and when I saw Avatar 2, I had the impression to be in the water, to swimming and to be like refreshed and to be good.
Yeah.
So did you have the same impression? Because I for sure I think like one of the main topic of Avatar is the environment, but what do you think about that?
Yeah. I think water is restorative. We read about, water-based births and how good they are for females too when they have a kid. I, there's an argument that we come from mud or we come from water, as human cell regeneration and whatnot. So I think water is very healing. We take, a shower every day, and it helps us restore and renew ourselves. If you're tired, sometimes you don't get enough sleep. Sometimes you do some hydrotherapy and take a shower and you just feel great. So water is very important for life. It's the source of life, right? And so being in a water-based environment is very restorative. What I really liked about Avatar 2 as well is the connection with animals. Now, some people in their movie reviews talked about subjugating or mistreating animals. I'm obviously against that. I don't think that was the message I took away. What I really loved is, when Sully or whoever would pull up the tail of the animal and connect to them,
Yeah.
I think that was beautiful. And it shows collaborating with animals or nature to augment what we can do and who we are, and just having that connection is beautiful. It's hard to explain. What do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Do you have animals like dogs or cats, or did you grew up with animals?
I have not consistently,
Yeah.
but I've had a turtle, I've had a bird, a parrot, I've had fish, I've had a cat for a little while, but I was either moving a lot all the time,
Yeah.
or I just didn't have the patience to maintain it. I was in travel and consulting, and I didn't feel like I cared for them for a long time, but I love animals.
Yeah, me as well. It's really, really important for our society. Did you watch a movie when you were a child with your family or?
Yeah, I mean, I was born in 1982, so I was born with the TV and cinema and going to the movies. So it's second nature to me. It's not like I lived a period of my life and then, oh, this is the big pictures. This is what it's like.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's always been captivating for me. My dad used to always walk around with a big video camera on his shoulder as well,
Okay.
capturing
Yeah.
family memories. So film
Oh.
and capturing emotions is
Okay.
very
Do
important
you
to
have
me.
any recommendation about a movie or a series on the topic of Avatar 2? Like of the nature or of migration or another topics?
You reminded me of a really good one, which was Into the Wild,
Yeah.
right? So, having an experience where, things get piled onto you in life and you just want to press that reset button, right?
Yeah.
Where you just want to subtract everything and start building the blocks of your life again.
Yeah.
I think that is a return to minimalism, return to your spirit, to your inner beast, right? And understanding what really moves you, what you want, and slowly adding things into your life. Because there's a moment where everything culminates with a lot of pressure and you just want to distance yourself from family and friends and everything in your environment. You could be living in Paris, but you're like, I hate Paris, just
Yeah.
because the things, it's a wild mix of everything. So you start not trusting everything and anything and everything. So for me, these movies are about a return to minimalism and innocence, where you're like, okay, let's remove everything and let's slowly add what I know is non-toxic.
Yeah.
I think that's the theme of that. So yeah, I think Into the Wild really reminds me of that. There's a lot of stories we hear about people exiting relationships or corporate or family, and they want to start over.
Yeah. And you spoke about like Pray, Eat, and Love. Did you watch the movie?
Eat, Pray, Love with Julia Roberts. Yeah, that is from the perspective of a modern woman, Julia Roberts. I don't remember all the details, but what I do remember is her going to somewhere in Europe. I mean, it's kind of cheesy American, right? We always fantasize, Europe. You guys have a perfect life there where you're in touch with, value of time and having, fine cheeses or whatnot. But in her experience, I think she also went to Southeast Asia.
Yeah, she went to Bali, and
That's right.
thanks to this movie, or because of I don't know, Bali is still really famous now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I lived in Southeast Asia for 4 years. I've been to Bali 2-3 times. I think for human nature, when we have something that's a polar opposite of what we're living in, it's interesting, refreshing, and amazing,
Yeah.
right? And attractive. And that's what I think Southeast Asia was for an American, right? In that movie, was just escaping from conventional norms of, perfect concrete highways and exits and Starbucks and structures and routines and school zone do not pass, like all these rules and regulations that are optimized and perfected and standardized, to going to Southeast Asia where it's like, whoa, everything's open. There are not a lot of, what are they called, franchises, right? There's a lot of mom and pop shops. There's a mix of rural and city living and spirituality.
Yes.
If you walk around Bali, there's a lot of places where they put like those little paper plates for sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
And like food outside, and it's not all based on logic. So I think being able to connect with an emotional or a mystic side is very interesting for an American.
Yeah.
And just rediscovering what their life is and what it means.
Yeah, it's funny because I spoke about this movie in my last episode, and I said to my guest that the movie, when the first time I saw the movie, I was really attracted about the landscape in Italy, in India, and in Bali. But 10 years after, I watched the movie, and I was really attracted about the really deep story about that you say living your life without judgment with your spirituality. And yes, it's really, how can I say, it's really a weird and curious sensation when you watch the first time a movie. Just you can see like the basic topics, and after when you watch again the movie you can see another story. You know what I mean?
What 100%, your perspective is open. That's the beauty of art and expression and movies. We frequently live this story in the United States where things are, okay, let's go back to some of the basics, right?
Yeah.
You're pressured to, I don't want to say pressured because I'm all about self-accountability and your own will, but society conditions you and it's fine and good, to get your degree and then work and then make money and buy a home and have kids, right?
Yeah.
That's, is it the same in France?
It depends of the situation, but yeah, we have like,
Of course.
yeah, we can say yes, yeah.
By the way, I should also say that's not the way it is in all of the United States. We have rural settings. We have people that live country life, a city life.
Yes.
It's whatever you want. But sometimes that's the life that we come across. So what happens is we get sick of the routine, or we don't spend time with ourselves. And sometimes when we get married or enter a relationship, we fall deeply in love. And we think that means completely adopting the other person's way of life. We have to go to yoga class together. We have to go to the gym together. We have to be a part of the same book club. And you just smash your worlds together.
You lose yourself.
You lose yourself.
Okay.
Exactly. And when you do, and you start hanging out with his or her friends, and you stop hanging out with your friends or whatever, you start slowly altering yourself. And then you may wake up one day and you're like, who the hell am I? And I don't like this. I don't like my job. I don't like who I'm with. And that happens. And so Eat, Pray, Love talks to that as well, where, Elizabeth and her husband, right, have a successful career.
Yes.
Right? They're modern, right? They're living in the city. She's found herself lost, confused, and searching for what she really wants in life. So then when she goes to Europe and has great food, and she goes to Southeast Asia and she just sees how people are liberated, I guess that's another reason, just like Into the Wild. just like probably Avatar 2 would happen before they actually go to the foreign land. It's finding where you fit in. And I talk about this a lot, finding the environment that you feel that will renew yourself. It will regenerate your cells. It appreciates who you are. Like in Colombia and South America, for example, you're able to connect with passion. People are very lonely these days in the United States too, but they're not connecting, right? So really finding a place where you can connect, be respected, be loved, and then amplify what you want, whether it's dance classes or art or expression. I think it's important for us to find the environment because the world's beautiful and wide. If you don't like where you are,
Yeah.
scoot your boots, like we say in Texas. Get out, move, go somewhere else, try something else.
So to summarize, like the Avatar 2, you can say that you find yourself in Colombia?
I can say yes,
Yes?
100%.
Okay. Wow. Good. Which movie or series do you never get tired of watching?
Yeah. The Office or
Really?
Seinfeld or Friends. Yeah, those are
Yeah.
classics. Community, I watch a lot too. I don't know. It's big.
It's really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
really good TV show.
For me, but it's like it's what I need sometimes or want. Like I want the humor, right? And people being blunt and honest about how they feel and then laughing together about it. That's the way I see life, right? Be your unapologetic self. Be
Mhm.
blunt and honest. Be comfortable. And have some laughs about our differences instead of fights about our differences, right? So, the U.S. has become really charged after certain presidents were elected in the past few years. I'm not going to get into that. I don't watch or follow politics that much. But some things have created tension, racial tension, right? I'm more about, hey, let's play and make money together, right? Let's and celebrate our differences. It's beautiful. Like when you speak with your English accent that's French, I freaking love it. It's unique, right? I wouldn't want you, not that my opinion matters to you, but I wouldn't want you to perfect your English accent so you speak like me. That's boring. I want you to be you. We want you to enjoy you the way you are, and my weird mix of being Syrian American now in South America. That's beautiful. I lived 4 years in Southeast Asia, which when I was 25 years old, that was 25% of my life. I was influenced by being tropical and
Yeah.
chill and peaceful. So the world's beautiful. People should stay who they are and share more of what's inside. I talk about that inner beast, that inner animal. Let it out. Be expressive about it. Share it. You have
Yeah.
a unique recipe that you and your mom and dad have created and you through life have created. It's beautiful. It's like a remix of a song that we know. I don't want you to be the mainstream song that I know. Tell me
Yeah.
about you. Enlighten me. And that was for Avatar too. Also, it's a big story of enlightenment, right? And then fighting for your kids, right? Fighting for what's right. Not just I remember a pivotal moment. I turned to my brother and I remember there's money between us that I owe him or he owes me. I don't want to get into it, but I looked at him and was like, you can have it or whatever I have, let's keep it for a family trust. In case there's an emergency, anything happens in the family, let's put this in a trust and anybody can use it. Because I got really philosophical and I was moved. I was crying during that movie because I realized families should be there for each other no matter what. And, we all try to build our wealth and then we die. And then who's going to help you? I buried my father as well 2 years ago. You see that life is short. And some people don't have the privilege of being with their mom and dad. And maybe they create family through their friendship, their friends, and they create their home and shelter we were talking about. But somehow having a base, every study shows that to be happy, you need to be present and with people to grow old and be happy, no matter what study you read. So just having good people that you can lean on is critical for happiness. And I saw that in this movie. What you give to survive your community and your people. Just have to build that comfort.
Okay. Wow. I recommend you another TV show about maybe a second part of your life. And the name of the TV show is Single Parents. It's like after a divorce, how we can manage our life. And I recommend you this TV show. It's really good.
Okay. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
look it up right after the show.
Yeah. It's really good.
What do you like about it?
I like the fact you can restart a new life even if you have how can I say a really heavy past, but you can have a second chance, and I really like that.
100%. I think that's a central thing I always talk about. Like my underlying message is you can always start over. I posted yesterday a story on Instagram. My mom's 69 years old and just taking Spanish classes here,
Yeah, wow.
right? And she's been a teacher for 50 years, so she has good educational discipline. But she was taking notes and whatnot, and me and my brother were also taking class, and we're 2 levels beyond her, but she was still grasping on. I looked at her notepad. She had written so many words. There's always a chance to start over. On that, by the way, Berenice, I've decided I'm going to live to 121 years old. The reason that's important is this. If you buy a car and you know, or you're renting a car and you know that you're going to get rid of it in 3 years because you're leasing it up and you're going to get the next best car, how are you going to treat that car? Or if it's not yours, if it's going to live for a year or two, you're going to get your Starbucks, you're going to be eating your food in it. You're going to be just that I'm going to get into my consulting world, like the asset lifespan is short. So your maintenance and reliability and the integrity of that asset is not that important to maintain in tip-top shape, like in machining or manufacturing, right? So you're not going to care for it that much. Same when you buy and replace things in the United States, we have this concept of planned obsolescence, like where you buy something it's built to be thrown away, right? It's a very different economical model. When I worked in oil and gas in the Middle East, for example, they owned the oil fields and they were building it for long term. Like it was feeding the people. You build museums, you build airports, infrastructure based on that natural resource. You're not trading your company on the public market, and therefore you don't care for the valuation. So my point is, for your body, the way you treat yourself, if you decide that I'm going to live to a long age, you're going to make different decisions, the way you diet and eat, friendships you make, etc. So I don't know where I was going with that, but the point is, if we know that we're going to live to 121, then we know if I'm 40 now, 40, 80, 120, right? I'm not even a third into my life. I remember my dad, before he died, he'd always be like, he was very religious, spiritual, conservative. He'd be like, I can't wait to meet my creator. I've done enough on this world. He died due to cancer. And I thought that was very depressing. And he lived the last maybe 8 years of his like that, right? Where he was expecting to move on. And so he didn't invest in his friends, and the way he dressed, you can tell, is different. He's in a different world. But I don't think that's good. I think you should always think that there's a second chance. You can start over. It's never too late. And I'm in almost the best shape of my life. I ran the half marathon 2 years ago. To battle turning 40 because I was scared of turning 40. But yeah, I feel like I look great. My health is amazing. I have 2 amazing daughters. I'm the luckiest man alive.
Good.
And my friends tell me I exude that vibrance when they see me, and it's true. I freaking love life. And I have suffered 5 tragedies in 1 year in 2020, and this is a defining moment in my life.
Okay.
Right? I went through divorce. My ex had ran away with my kids, and then I became a single full-time dad. So I went through divorce, foreclosure of my property, which means you have to give your property back to the bank because my home was flooded, was 5 feet underwater, and I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I had to, go into foreclosure, which is not like bankruptcy, but it's a really bad thing that happens. Third thing is my dad died due to cancer within 4 months. I got laid off from my job, and oil and gas went to negative $1 on the stock commodity market for the first time. And the fifth thing was I forget there was so much. Yeah, I'd lost my job, my home, my father, my significant other, and my kids, all in the same year. So I went through so much trauma at the same time. And this is other than people complaining about COVID. Yeah, COVID was normal in the same year of COVID. So I had the chance to restart my life. And I remember a friend telling me, Basim, he would mispronounce my name. It's an African-American sales guy. He'd be like, Basim, you ain't listening to me. This is what life's about. He's like, it's all about my resting heart rate. He's a U.S. Tennis Association champion, top 10 in the nation. He said, Basim, when I went through my divorce, my ex, who I was with, got remarried to a guy that killed himself. His kids walked in after 2 weeks of not hearing from him. There were bottles everywhere in the home. They found him in the bathtub, and he had drank himself to death. I decided I didn't want to be that person. I don't drink alcohol, but I didn't want to fall to that weakness where I overdo myself or I just fall apart. I was like, fuck no. I will always get up. You know, you punch me, knock me out, knock me down. I'm going to wake up and get up with all my teeth broken and bloody. And that blood's going to be dripping down my chin. I'll be looking at you. You're going to see a little bit of white from my teeth. And I'm going to smile with my crooked ass face. I'm going to say, I don't even have to say anything. I just stood up. That says everything. I'm always going to fucking stand up again. I don't care what happens. That's the way I was raised as an Arab American, as a Syrian, as a Muslim. I don't know what it is, but resilience is so important. Get the fuck up. Sometimes you talk to yourself like that, but you also have to understand. But, you know, a part of me being Arab American, also like macho, you know, growing up as like, I'm strong, I'm a man. There's a point in my life, I remember my cousin would tell me when I was 13, I'd visit him in Syria. I remember that period I lived in Syria outside the United States. We'd live there and visit during the summers to get to know our culture. So I had this cousin, he has this big scar across his face, right? And so I remember seeing him, he looked like the Terminator, like tough as fuck, right? And he was 13. It was the coolest thing when you're 13 because, you know, you're into dumb things and, you know, cars and bikes and doing tricks and whatnot. So he would tell me, shake my hand. And I'd shake his hand. He was like, okay. In Arabic, he would say, outside Eidi, which means, you know, press against my hand, you know, and I won't shriek. I won't complain. And I do it. And he was the strongest man in the world to me at that time when I was 13. And so for me, at the age of 13, you have to understand men develop differently than women. We developed this, like, I wanted to be in the military. I want to be tough. So in that period from 13 to like 18, I figured being tough as a man is hiding your emotions, showing that it doesn't hurt, right? And not complaining because I come from, well, my mom, dad, my grandpa was in the military and, you know, we're all about shut up, get things done. We immigrated to the U.S., stop watching TV, get your grades up. You need to make money for the family. Go, go, go. You know, the Asian American immigrant mentality, which I'll later get into, yields scarcity mentality too. And now I've come into my abundance. But I remember, you know, hiding your pain is cool and good. And that's what you should do to provide and protect as a man. But that's wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
I later realized you need to be able to express when you're hurting. So when I entered the career and professional world, I worked at Exxon and Shell and Halliburton, Accenture, all the big names. You know, everything they teach you is how to escalate an issue. Raise your hand. I need help as an American, right? American work. I love the American work. I need help. Escalate to your team. We'll help you. We'll reinforce. Otherwise, we'll lose a deal with the client if we're servicing or implementing a technology, right? So being able to escalate is a key skill that we need to develop internally. Hey, I'm not well. I'm not fine. I need somebody to talk to. I need to cry. I need to spend this time. I don't need to go out. So getting in touch with how you feel. And people talk about self-love, and I don't think they understand it until they've gone through trauma or accidents of have an absence of self-love, right? But you need to be able to check in with yourself like a baby.
It it was a really good issue for you to take this trip, and it's like to know your boundaries and to protect yourself. Can you give me an emotion that ends what we just said?
Yes, it's unapologetic. Being unapologetic about who you are. When I say unapologetic, doesn't mean don't apologize when you're an asshole or you do something wrong or you steal something or you screw with somebody's emotions. You better apologize for that and make that right. Restore balance. But don't be apologetic about if you do your best job and you strive to improve and things are still not working, don't go inward and start hating yourself. Unapologetic also means accepting the way you are, right? I have wrinkles on my face. I have my teeth look like this. I'm too skinny, or I can't lose my gut. I'm a little too short for the average height. Whatever it is, there's things that you can do. Hey, you may want to get braces. I just got retainers as well. You may want to get Botox. Sure. But I think in the beginning and in the end, remembering that, you know how you see those National Geographic pictures of people with this beautiful smile, but they are making less than like $100 a month or whatever. But you see that human spirit that's unconquerable, that's beautiful. It's the most beautiful smile ever that you can see on front of a magazine or a photograph. That's called being unapologetic. It's that as I am fucking happy. And I accept myself. And like my mom was a Muslim growing up with a headscarf in America in the 80s, 90s, and all. Being unapologetic. Because you got weirdos in New York and here and there. You know, people have their different ways of thinking, right? And dressing and piercing and hair coloring. So don't be apologetic that you're wearing a headscarf because your religion tells you to, you know? Being yourself, but being respectful of others. And I was raised to be an ambassador of my culture, my religion, because we want to show ourselves in the best light. It doesn't mean we're going to change who we are, but I'm going to understand your culture. I'm also going to show you the beauty of my culture, but I'm going to be unapologetic about it, right? I think that's really important in life. Just loving who you are, where you came from, whether you're from a poor family, an immigrant family, a rich family, a ugly, nobody's from an ugly family. But what I mean is just like,
yeah, I know.
And then once embracing that,
it's like the acceptance of yourself.
100%. Once you do and you accept you're not perfect, you're not a role model, you may be the head of a household protector provider, but you make mistakes and you move on.
Yeah, this is human.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Basim. I'm really, really glad to having you in my podcast.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Me too. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this episode, so don't hesitate to join me on Instagram. For the next episode, I'm glad to welcome Chloe directly from Houston.